lecture 6, where we ask you to write a program to find a name in the list of top 10 achievers. In other words, the user can select a name, and let's say, for example, we're looking for Joe, and when we search it, it tells us that Joe is in the position 2. Okay, so I've already created the interface for you, and I've already done some of the coding. So the point of, or the topic of lecture 6 is a while loops, and it's a repetition structure. So up to now, the other structure or programming structure that you worked with was if statements, and that is where you have conditions. Depending on what the condition is, a certain code execute. Now in this case, we're now looking at code that you want to repeat. You want to have that code executed over and over again until some condition is not true anymore. In this case, what we've started off with is to declare a variable index, and that is to get the number. So if, let's say, they choose Joe, for example, then we want to know where in the list is that name, and that's what index is going to tell us. So the while loop has a condition. So it says, while this is not true, do the following. So what is the condition? Okay, now let's look at this. So here you will see string, and that is the same meaning as convert to string. So it's the list box names dot items dot index. While it's not equal to the name provided by the user through the text box, add 1 to the index. We start with 0. So it will start with the very first name in the 0th index, and it will check, is it the same? If not, add another one, do it again. And now the index is 1. That is, with other words, the second position. Is it now equal? Let's say it is. Then it jumps outside the while loop before it adds another index. And then it executes this statement. And you will ask, but why? Why do we have to add another one to the index now? The reason is, remember that we start counting from 0. To get the position of the name, you have to add 1 to the index. Okay, for example, Joe was in the second position, but it was index 1. And if you want to display its position in the list, you must add 1 to that. So what do we display? Text, name.text is in position, and there's the index. Okay, so if we execute this, we will see, I've actually already showed you what happens when we execute this. So if we ask, for example, Joe, and we search it, it gives us that Joe is in position 2. But now, let's say we're trying to find a name that is not here, like Maria. What's going to happen now? So we are in trouble now, because the program crashes, and it gives us an error message that says out of range exception. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that it was looking, it tried to go through this list more than only 10 times, because after 10, the index was now 10, it still couldn't find the name. So it added another one to the index, and there isn't that many names in the list, so that is an error. Okay, so what are we going to do to solve the problem? We don't want this, the while loop to execute more than 10 times. So we say while the index is less than 10 and. So you have two conditions now. While the index is less than 10, to go through the loop. Not only then, but also while the name that the user provided is not equal to one of the names in the list. Okay, let's see what happens now, whether that's going to solve the problem. Okay, I'm going to type in a name that's not there, Maria, search. Now it says Maria's in position 11. That is not right. There isn't a name like that. What happened? Okay, so what happened is that the final value of index was 9, because that is the last one. It couldn't find it, so it jumps out and it added 1 to index. So the final value was 10. So the final value of index then is 10 plus 1, and that gives you 11. So we don't want this index to be incremented if the name is not there at all. So the moment your index is greater or equal to 10, in other words, if you couldn't find it, if the name wasn't there, 10, then we must first display a message to show that the name is not in the list. Okay. Else, with other words, if the name was in the list, only then do we add an index, 1 to the index, and we display the position. So let's see if this solves our problem. So let's look again for the name that was not there, and it says the name is not in the list.